feel like we're here to support and celebrate our women leaders of the future. And I'm finding myself once again inspired by the women leaders of the past, and just as inspired by the women leaders who are sitting here next to me. And I'm looking forward to watching the path that you create for yourselves through JP Girls and beyond. I was sitting here thinking to myself, what is the legacy that the school created for me as a JP Old Girl? And I remember sitting in one of my first university lectures. It was stats. It wasn't necessarily my strongest suit. And I had in front of me a brand new, what are those calculators called that have got function buttons on and things, which I hadn't a clue how to use. And there were some boys sitting behind us who were, sort of 19, 20. They knew how to use theirs. And some of the girlfriends and I that were sitting in front were kind of looking at each other and a bit confused and irritating the stats lecturer with questions on how this thing would work. And eventually I heard the exasperated sigh from the university boys behind me, looking at his mate and saying, I really wish they wouldn't let girls into this course. And the interesting thing is it's the first time in my life that I was ever exposed to gender superiority thinking. I made it through 18 years of my life not knowing that there were men in the world that considered themselves superior to women. And I had 5 very, very free years at the school where I was able to be and grow and learn and figure out who I was and not have to be concerned about what the boy next to me was thinking of me and whether I needed to play dumb or not to get his attention. And that is an incredibly powerful legacy. And I think it's one of by the time you're 18 and you're grown and those kinds of things are set, you walk through the world fearlessly. And JB Girls has left for me a fearlessness that has made me never take no for an answer. In fact, no has always been the beginning of the conversation. Because I learned here how to debate and how to put my opinion across and how to have myself heard. And that was a very, very powerful thing. So why am I a personal donor? Well, you know what? I won the apartheid lottery. It doesn't sound like a very PC thing to say, but I really did. I grew up here in Kensington. It's a white suburb. I went to school between 1980 and 1985. That was the zenith of Christian national education. And the white apartheid government was making sure that white school children had the best education that money could buy. And I was a beneficiary of that. I went to one of the top girls' schools in the country, this JP High School for Girls. And if I were to not take that investment very seriously, and not to understand the responsibility that comes with it of paying it forward, then this school did not do a very good job. But it did. And so just from a very, very important part of my soul, I understand that being white, living in the suburb of Kensington, I was simply zoned for this school, and getting one of the top educations this country had to offer in the late 80s, I have a responsibility to bring it back here, and to make sure that that legacy is not lost. Because it is much, much harder to get education working in this country, and all of us are very aware of the challenges that are involved. And there are parts of education in this country that are working in absolute excellence, and this is one of those. And I feel like it is our responsibility, those of us who know the excellence that is created here, the legacy of 100 years worth of input, it is up to us to make sure that we protect this. So from a personal perspective, that's why I would want to donate. But I'm a corporate donor as well. And we make corporate CSI donations decisions differently from necessarily where our heart and our purpose sits. Because when we're making corporate decisions, we have to ask ourselves what the return on investment or the return on social capital is of the money that we would put into various kinds of institutions like JP High School for Girls, like the Ruth First Trust. And one of the things that we're looking for is excellence. And another thing that we're looking for is sustainability. We want to know that for every rand that we put into a program like this, we are able to quantify some sort of social capital. And I was listening to a talk by Teddy Blecher with some of my colleagues here probably about a year ago. and the kinds of work that they've been doing, quantifying the social capital that is created when we educate girls in the government system and actually do something powerful with them. For every 1 rand that we invest, we are able to create 100 rands return on social capital investment. And that's quite a powerful number. It's hard though because there is so much need. There are schools without toilets. There are schools where girls cannot go to school at that time of the month because of those toilets. There are schools where children are having to walk for an hour or two to get there every time. How can we be choosing this kind of privileged education when that kind of lack of privilege exists in our country as well? And the decision that we made was about the fact that money spent here really, really creates value. You were hearing from the girls tonight that Jeppe Girls has an incredible record of a matric pass rate of 100% for more than a decade. 100%. That means a child who comes to the school is guaranteed of passing matric. And Ruth First was the first child in her family to pass matric. And there are many girls who are walking through the doors of Jeppe High School for Girls, being the very first one in their family to have done that too. Jeppe doesn't differentiate about who comes in through these doors. It's a government school, and the people who come here are the people who live in this community. And it's a community of privilege, and it's a community where there are squatter camps, and it's a community where there are refugees, and every single person who lives in this geography needs to come to the school, and the school will educate them, and the school will create that 100% guarantee. And that's powerful. I haven't got the stats at my fingertips about how many of those 100% of girls who pass matric actually go on to university, but I know that it's an incredibly high number also. And so the lottery that happens to girls who pass through Jeppe High School for Girls right now is that just by being able to be at the school, the kinds of educational guarantees and opportunities that are available to you are extraordinarily powerful. The guarantee of success is there. And so the corporate and social investment spend is guaranteed. And we start seeing huge results from that. I have a philosophy at the company that I own, Avocado Vision. We called the company Avocado Vision because we were at a place where the guy that we bought the property from when we first moved in was very upset with us when we wanted to cut down the avocado tree to create an expanded conference venue there. And when we were sort of pushing back and saying there are millions of trees here on this property, we'd really like to have just this place and this avocado tree out of the way. And he said, no, you don't understand. He said, I planted that tree. And we said, yeah, that's really nice, but understand, this is, we have a building here and there are lots of trees. He said, no, I was eating the most magnificent avocado that I've ever eaten in my life. And I was so sad that I would never again taste an avocado like that. And so I went and found that pip out of the bin, and I put myself matches in that pip, and I put it over a jar, and I grew that avocado tree from scratch, and I protected it from the frosts of the Highveld winter. And it's now producing avocados every year. Please don't take down that tree. And we fell in love with his vision of a lifetime of avocado, because we realized that in the kind of industry that we're in, which is adult education, we must plant trees in whose shade we may never sit, and whose fruit we may never eat. But we must be investing in the potential and the future of people. How does the school benefit from funding that comes in for the Ruth First Trust? Well, the school attracts top talented girls. And the future leadership of the school and the alumni that the school will create through these girls as they walk through life and become the successes that we expect of you, no pressure. The standards of the school are lifted because we have high-performing girls in these places. And the high standards then encourage the girls around them to perform well. We are fostering for future leaders. We're fostering long-term sustainability. We're fostering a community that will protect this little patch of excellence and protect it from any kind of erosion that the rest of the state school system at the moment is experiencing. How do these girls benefit from the Ruth First Trust? They get the lottery, the top-end education that our government education is able to offer. They have an incredibly enriched school life. They are able to develop their own individual leadership opportunities and grow into the human beings that they're needing to be. The university entrance, of course, is almost guaranteed because of the school that you're at. And what I love about the JB Girls community is that it is such a diverse and mixed and rich community. There are not just people here of privilege, there are people here from squatter camps, refugee camps, all sorts of human beings come together in these halls and learn together. And the richness and the understanding of our country and the diversity skills that the girls will learn in this place will stand them in stead forever. So I encourage those of you who are sitting here who are not yet contributing to either your personal or in your corporate capacity to help this school and this Ruth First Trust to protect the excellence that is here, to grow it, and to create these kinds of leaders for the future of our country.